Group. Joel, give us your big picture take on what we're seeing today and how we got here.
Well, Chris, it's a great day, first and foremost, for American foreign policy. And, really, American foreign policy is at its best when it's bipartisan. And I think we're seeing the benefits of that right now, where President-elect Trump essentially is back Joe Biden's plan, the plan that was announced in May that did get a lot of criticism from Republicans. That's now the de facto plan that is going to go in force, and it's the one that President-elect Trump supported. So that's very important. Also, of course, very important, and your panel's really touched on this, is that the security environment for Israel is one now where the Israeli public feels more confident. And in polls now coming out of the Israeli public sentiment, there is support for a ceasefire deal. And that gives political space to Prime Minister Netanyahu. And we're going to see him take advantage of that and push back against his most hardline folks in his coalition. And then, of course, the X factor here is the region. The Middle East countries are now fully invested in this. Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, they are there. They were at the table. They're talking about a future. They're talking about potential peace. Well, they're going to have to pay for it, pony up a lot of funds and work with the Israelis and the Americans on a reconstruction project, as well as a political program for a day after. But all those big picture factors coalesce. And to President Biden and his team, big kudos for sticking with it all the way to the end, almost to the fully the 11th hour of the administration, to get this really important deal done for the hostages and the Palestinian people.
Joel, Isaac Herzog, of course, the president of Israel, is speaking right now, but it's in Hebrew, so we'll see what he has to say about this. But when you talk about the political space for Benjamin Netanyahu, how much is there? I mean, what does all of this mean for him internally, politically?
Well, he has a clear mandate inside of Israel. He has the 68 members in the Knesset. That's out of 120. He grew his coalition to include some more moderate members that gives him some space inside his cabinet meetings when the far-right ministers, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, object, and we'll hear them object. They're already objecting. Well, Netanyahu can call their bluff and say, you can leave the coalition if you want, but I have the support of enough members, as well as a soft cushion from the opposition for this. So in the near term, he has that space. The big hard question, of course, is what's he going to do with it? And what's President-elect Trump going to do with it? President Biden is handing off an opportunity for him now with a calmer region, no Assad in power, Iran defanged, Hezbollah decimated, now a ceasefire. Will President-elect Trump really lean in and try to make sure with the credibility he has, and he has a lot inside of Israel, to try to ensure that this process goes forward peacefully? So I think the prime minister, he does have some space. He does need to take advantage of it.
You wrote something interesting in the lead up to this. Joel, you wrote, success has many fathers and it's time to share credit. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Chris, look, I mentioned it a moment ago as well. American foreign policy is at its best when it's bipartisan. And what we're seeing is that obviously President Biden and his team, they've been working this for months on end, and they are the primary ones at the table for the United States. But there is also President-elect Trump's team. Steve Witkoff, the person he appointed, has been reinforcing President Biden's message. And this may be, quite frankly, the best, if not the only example of cooperation between the Trump transition and the Biden administration. It shows that things can work. And we do need that in American foreign policy. We do need to have teamwork. We do need to have alliances across the aisle. And then, of course, in the region, as discussed, there are many countries now that have been involved. And I think also it's worth noting, it's very important, is that this should put to the lie the question about Israel's acceptance in the Middle East. No country came to the side of Hamas. They all came to the side of trying to get to a ceasefire and these other agreements. The only one that did was Iran and Hezbollah, and they've been marginalized and they've been pushed to the side. And so I think for Israelis, they should have confidence, and there are a lot of hands in that huddle that should all be high-fiving right now as they look forward to hopefully a day forward of negotiation and not war making.
What do you think, Joel, is going to be key to keep this deal from falling apart, especially as it moves from the first phase and they're negotiating phases 2 and 3?
Yeah, what happened the last time in November of 2023 when they had a ceasefire was they had this experience. They had the first phase. They had the release of hostages. And then, frankly, Hamas broke it and they started attacking again. And this is going to require, and I think you got to it on the earlier panel, some real authority inside of Gaza, quite frankly, someone to ensure that Hamas and the outside groups, the other ones that it's been talking to, like the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, with whom it needs to coordinate to get hostages back, that those groups do not become spoilers. This is the Hamas way of being a spoiler. And so this really does put the pressure on Qatar and on Egypt in particular to reinforce to Hamas that it has no room to do anything to restart hostilities after this first period.
Joel Rubin, thank you. It's always good to see you. And now I want